Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Crestwood School District study session that we are calling into order at 5:31. Mr. Secretary, can you please take a roll call?
Trustee Amon? Here. Trustee Baydoun?
Here.
Trustee Elziat?
Here.
Trustee Fawaz?
Here.
Trustee Jadoon?
Here.
Trustee Sable?
Here.
Sorry, President Sable? I am here. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And I know we have one topic to discuss this evening. Dr. Musalam, can you lead us into it?
Thank you, President Sable, board, community. So I gave each board member a copy of a cell tower timeline, basically to talk about what we as a district have and what the board has committed to in reference to the cell tower that is on our property at Crestwood High School. And, you know, back in 2022, my apologies. Crown Castle is the company that owns the cell tower. And Crown Castle leases from us the property in which the cell tower sits on. There are other communications companies that then lease through Crown Castle for that cell tower. In 2022, we had a discussion as a board and as an administration on whether or not we were going to renew that lease or not renew the lease. And in doing so, it was determined that we were not going to renew the lease. In July of 2024, it was brought to our attention from AT&T, one of the communications companies that uses the cell tower, that they needed some additional time in order to find a spot and put up a new tower or a temporary tower so that the community would not lose cell coverage. At that time, on July 29th, the Board of Education agreed to extend the lease for one additional month, which would have been January 31st, 2025, at which point the tower would be decommissioned, and then within 90 days after that, which would be March 31st, that the cell tower would be removed and replaced with an outdoor light pole for our outdoor facilities. 2 weeks prior than today, January 14th, our administration had a meeting with the then police chief, Mr. Hussein Farhat, and his team. 2 detectives were in presence, and new police commissioner, Mr. Vanderplow, and the mayor were also in attendance. It was then said to us at that meeting on January 14th that we cannot take the cell tower down because it's going to interrupt 911 emergency services. I explained to everyone in that meeting that that is a Board of Education decision. It was voted on already. This is not a decision by the superintendent, but I would bring that information back to you as a board. Well, he also requested to know when was the city made aware that emergency services would be impacted, and we received documentation that stated they were aware as early as December 3rd of 2024. So we are at the juncture now. I know that the mayor and Mr. Vanderplow were supposed to be here to talk on behalf of the city, and they could not make it. I know we have a representative from AT&T who is here to discuss it with the board as well. So we currently sit as a school district on whether or not we extend the lease for AT&T or if we just continue with our current plan in place. So, Mr. President, I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Musalam. Before we go any further, I just want to make sure that for those during this study session, kind of unusual, but we're going to open it up for public comment for anybody who wants to address the board at the end. If you do want to address the board, please see Kristen in the back for the form so that we can call on you, okay? Dr. Musalam, you said AT&T was here. Who is the representative for AT&T?
Mrs. Morgan, can you please introduce?
This is Jamie. You come up to the podium.
Said her name is Jamie. Hi, Jamie.
Hi. She is our mobility rep from AT&T, so she's our mobility rep and
Dearborn Heights. So I'm actually sales and support for Dearborn Heights School District. Pretty much anything in Wayne and Washtenaw County, anything you can see from an airplane, government, public sector, that's going to be mine. So It was brought to our attention, and we reached out to the school district as well as the city to make sure that there was communication for public safety. So AT&T provides the build and the network for the FirstNet network. So that is not a marketing plan or anything that AT&T came up with. And normally I actually come and talk to school boards about putting like panic buttons in your classrooms. We can totally talk about that, but that's not what I'm here to do. So we provide the network connectivity for the First Responder Network Authority. It is a federal service that was provided. It came out of the 9/11 Commission's final recommendation to Congress to provide priority and preemption for public safety in the event of an emergency and communications during everyday operations. It also provides communications for supporting response. So it's their cell phones, their modems in their vehicles. It is, like I said, we put panic buttons in places where you push it. It goes directly to the PSAP. And it helps our first responders and the supporting response communicate. It can be anything from the modem in their vehicle to the AVL service that's in the snowplow that's plowing the streets, so you all know that you can open school in the morning. So that tower that was brought to our attention, normally sales doesn't get involved in tower site acquisition or anything of that nature. However, in this case, they did reach out to me because they did need some local representation to explain how important it was. So we provided the mayor's office with a map that shows about a 3-mile radius around that tower that will have impaired coverage. That's not just the individuals who are, support public safety. It's actually everybody. Now, we will do everything in our power to make sure that public safety has emergency communications, and we will provide them band 14 connectivity on the FirstNet network, which will allow them to have some coverage, but it won't be at its best. And we want to make sure that our public safety and our first responders are at their best at all times. However, it will severely impact everybody in the area, and not just AT&T, also all other carriers that are on that network. Now, we understand that you do not want that tower, and we can completely empathize with that, but it was brought to the AT&T team's attention in December, and we do need time in order to find a new site. Now, I know that
FaceTime video.
I know that Crown Castle owns that tower, and from our understanding, from our understanding, they were negotiating in good faith with the district, and it was brought to our attention at a very late in the game, and about the same, that day is when I called the mayor's office.
So let me
at
ask you a
Public
question.
Safety.
I want to address that point. I think Trustee Alzayat has a question also. If in October 2022, Crown was notified, T-Mobile and Verizon moved their equipment, you're telling me that you weren't notified until December of 2024?
I was not notified until December of 2024.
Well, of course, in sales you weren't, but your technical
Correct.
team, listen, I'm sorry. I know you're here representing AT&T as a salesperson. I would rather had somebody here from the technical side, because it's not fair to put you out in harm's way to get asked questions from a technical perspective.
I got the legal brief. I know, I got briefed by legal and external affairs
Okay.
prior to. We do this quite a bit
I
as public
understand.
safety and
I
public sector, so.
It's okay. I just want to make sure the timelines are right, because I'm hearing that you weren't notified until December of 2024, but you guys asked for an extension in July of 2024, but you weren't notified until December of 2024, but how
We
did
weren't notified of the decision. We were notified of the extension. We asked for an extension, and we believe
In
that
July?
Yes, and we believe that we were negotiating a 25-year lease.
What made you believe that?
That I cannot speak to, but that is what I was briefed on.
Mr. President, may I
Please.
expand on that? So I'd like to expand on that because you may not have all the information. When the board decided in July that the board was willing to give an extension until January 31st to give AT&T an opportunity to find a new place to place the tower and/or a temporary tower.
Correct.
AT&T then came back to us I don't want to get into too much detail because there are some legal issues at play, as the board is aware. But they did come back to us and offer us a 25-year lease, and we said no.
Okay,
So at no point, and you may not know this,
yeah,
but at no point did we ever give AT&T any inclination that we were going to extend any lease that we have beyond the decommissioning date of January 31st, 2025.
thank you. Danielle, do you have something you were,
I just wanted
turn on your microphone?
I just wanted to know what the backup plan is, because there has to be some type of redundant communication in place. There has to be some type of emergency plan. I mean, if we don't vote today to extend again, I mean, I don't like to play the what-if game, but if the tower went down because of some natural disaster, which is the greatest threat to Southeast Michigan, what would you guys do?
In the event of a natural disaster, FirstNet does roll out deployable assets such as satellite backhauled cell on light trucks, so SAT-colts, or
Like a cow?
cows, so cow on, cellular on wheels.
Yep.
Cellular on wheels is, of course, is a lot more robust, and that's more of a semi-permanent structure. We do that when we have to do tower relocates on a regular basis. However, it still doesn't, and we can do that for public safety. That's honestly.
What does that cost?
What does that cost? I cannot provide that information in a public forum.
I did some research, I just want the board to know that I did, so I talked to a few council members. They weren't made aware of this at all. And there's just information that I think the board should know before we have further discussion on this. So our own city council was never told. They were told when we found out that AT&T and the mayor and the police department were gonna come. To my knowledge, the fire department doesn't know, which they're part of public safety themselves, they're first responders, so I don't even know if our fire department, I would assume that being public safety also might run into these same issues. I do know for a fact that they can put cows up, which are the cellular on wheels, if that's what they need to do, and they can put that on city property, they don't have to put it on school property. And I know that there's a cost to the cow, so I believe that that may be the issue that, and I don't want to say the city, I just want to say the mayor's office, because saying the city means council knew, which they did not. But the cost may be what the mayor's office is finding prohibitive, because I know that there are about $77,000, depending on how many days you need that for, and I would assume that to put a tower up, they're going to need it for a long time. So it's just some stuff that I just wanted to make sure
Thank you.
everybody understood.
Good information.
May
I'm sorry.
I just respond to that? Number one, we will not charge the city anything for the cows.
Oh, so it's free?
Oh, yeah, we'll provide it, and we
Okay,
do
great.
it, it's part of our agreement. We have 14 hours to respond in a natural disaster, to answer your question, with a SAT-colt at the very least. We also have aerial assets, and we roll them out. In the state of Michigan, we have more than met our SLA time for the natural disaster, but that will be service for public safety.
Right.
So it is going to the FirstNet core network. It is a physical network that doesn't allow for commercial traffic. So if your SIM is blue or orange and it says AT&T, or it's red and says Verizon, or pink and says T-Mobile, then it's not going to go to the FirstNet core. It's never going to touch that core. Now, we can make sure that public safety can communicate. It will not be the most optimal situation, but we can make do in a natural disaster. And we can make do with a cow or a SAT-colt. It's not cost prohibitive, but it will not be the greatest experience for the residents of this area. And
What do you mean by that? You mean by their service?
yes, there will be a massive
Oh,
hole.
so aside from a public safety issue, we're talking about just regular cell service for AT&T customers?
Just in general, yes. And it's not a great experience for the other carriers, and I can't speak to what the other carriers did, although I do know what they did, and I do have access to see where network assets are. So what I will tell you is that it's not the optimal experience for anybody in the area. Now, we're not asking you to change your mind about the tower. We understand that you don't want it on school property, and I don't know the reason. I'm not even really curious about the reasoning. But we are asking for more time to make sure that the tower on the fire station is structurally sound and that we do our due diligence to make sure that we can utilize it from a power perspective that won't cause any interruptions or any issues in the area, and do a feasibility study on that and extend the lease. If we were to take down that tower at the end of the month, which I understand, it would severely impact our commercial customers as well as public safety. Will we be able to make do with public safety? We will do everything in our power because we are responsible for the FirstNet network. So yes, we have a commitment to do that. But we do want to make sure that we do our due diligence to move that equipment in a safe and efficient way.
How
and do
long?
We are asking for 18 months.
So it's almost, listen, I'm sorry. It's really hard because I know what you're saying, but there are so many technical questions that I want to ask, and I know you're on the sales side, so I'm not going to do that to you. It's not fair to you. It's almost not fair that we're having this conversation in this context, and I'm sorry. And I understand that you've been briefed by legal and compliance and everything else, and I have the utmost respect for your company and your people. So this is not obviously a personal issue. This is more of, you asked the question as to why. I ask you to look over your right shoulder. That's why. Okay? Those are the reasons why. We are representatives of the community, and that's why. At the end of the day, we're elected officials, and we answer to the people that elect us. And it's not about a political ploy or to get votes. It's about being a voice for people, okay? And that's all we're trying to do, all right? I know, Ms. Fawaz, Trustee Fawaz, you had a comment?
Yes, thank you. And looking at the timeline, and as President Saba stated, Crown Castle, obviously it was in 2022, which you guys are contracted with, and then in July 2024 is when you guys were asking for the extension. From that time frame to current, what has AT&T done, if anything, to actually look for a location, do anything? Like, have they done anything at all?
Yes, we have done studies. However, we believed, AT&T's position is that we believe that we were working towards a 25-year extension. It was only when that decision was reached that we were not, and that we needed to get off the tower on January 31st was when Crown Castle informed AT&T in December of that decision, and they notified the sales team to ask if we can come out and have a conversation with you.
Mr. President, may I add, just so that the community is aware? I won't go into the detail, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but I can't go into too much detail. But what I can say, and the board is aware of this, is I have all the documentation, and the board has all the documentation themselves as well. In October of 2024, it was made clear that we would not be renewing any further lease, because at that time, there was an ultimatum put on the table by AT&T. And the board unanimously determined that we weren't going to take that ultimatum. So you may be being told, and again, I'm sorry you're the one.
You may not have been informed of
It's
this.
yeah, no, I understand.
you
We
may
have
not
a
have been-
site acquisition versus a RAN, and there
So-
are different divisions.
So we, in July, made it clear. When AT&T came back to us in September and October and gave us an ultimatum based on the litigation that we're in right now, we made it clear. So if they told you, or one department told another department not until December, then this is on AT&T, not on our district. And the city was made aware as well, the mayor's office was made aware as well as of December 3rd. And we were not informed until January 14th. And my concern to the board, and I want to be clear, because as a superintendent, I have to give you all the information. I want to reiterate what Trustee Fawaz just mentioned. I don't feel AT&T has done their due diligence since July 31st until today. And due to that, as a superintendent who also represents this community, I have to stick to that stance.
Mr. Chair? Yeah, I'm going to go to Trustee Janoon, and then I'll come back to you, Trustee Baydun.
So typically, you're saying you need 18 months, but really you, from July to, add the additional 18 months, it'll be 24 months. You're saying you guys need 24 months to come up with another solution, whereas Verizon and the other companies, T-Mobile, did not need that amount of time? Something just is not making sense to me.
We need The normal acquisition timeline is 18 months.
But you will have already had 6 months on top of that.
Understood. And so that is the normal timeline. That is what I am supposed to ask for. The one thing I can say, and since you guys are my customer, technically too, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how well that's going to go, but technically you all are my customer too. So the magic thing about getting the sales representative involved is because they will throw what's called a big old baby sales fit. And we will throw a fit on your behalf, because not only am I speaking on behalf of AT&T right now and telling you that, yes, we do want this in place. We do want it for public safety. We want to make sure that if a tower near it goes down for a natural disaster or snow emergency or a tornado or something horrible, which we've had in Michigan, we know that we have other network assets to support that mission, as well as our general population and general consumers. But I'm also here to tell you that I will do everything in my power personally to expedite that as much as humanly possible. Now, I can't make AT&T not AT&T. I can't. And we are a 140-year-old company that works very closely with the federal government, that has more policies than anybody else. And so I understand that maybe they haven't done that in the past, but I'm here to tell you that I will do everything in my power to
Yeah.
escalate it.
I just
as
think
you-
personally for me, because like you said, as a customer of AT&T's as well, now I'm personally, I have concerns. Like,
Right.
it does, like, something doesn't make sense, and now we're just looking at a whole other, in my opinion, concern.
When I know the date that site acquisition, which is responsible for the tower feasibility studies and finding the new location, now we had tower locations identified. We had tower locations identified to build additional coverage and funded in the city outside of this scenario. And so what we're trying to do is rearrange things to make it so the coverage, because you have to think of it as it all has to connect, right? So they're trying to make it work within the city to make sure that we don't have any holes for our customers. And so that's what takes a while. And site acquisition was informed
I just have to say,
early in
like,
December.
now that we're airing this all out, unfortunately, to even our customers, or the families in the community, I mean, I just feel like, what makes the rest of them want to stay with AT&T if they have AT&T? This just doesn't look good.
Understandable, and I
So-
completely understand that. But for us to say, someone made a mistake along the way, and we are asking that you extend the lease so we can make sure that we're supporting the customers. And that's what we're here to say.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Trustee Baydoun has a comment.
So, you mentioned in regards to a force majeure, you can have something up in 14 hours, right?
Yes.
Technically, give or
Yes.
take. Okay, great. So to me personally, this sounds like everything impacting the bottom line, because one, there is an alternative. So for sure, there is an alternative. So the city services and safety services will be a go, no matter what the decision is. What I'm hearing, 911 emergency services will be okay. That's one. This is from what I've took away from your discussion. The second thing I'm hearing, that if we don't extend, excuse me, that AT&T could be in breach with the city in regards to not providing those services, and then the city will have to make a determination to go on with another carrier if you can't provide.
No, that's actually not accurate. So yes, we can provide backup temporary service in 14 hours in the event of a disaster. That's not ideal. That's a sat cold. We'll need a cow, and we will put it on city property. That has already been discussed as our backup plan.
Okay.
It's not the most optimal situation.
I know, but it's an option.
Right, but it
Okay.
doesn't breach our contract, and we have statewide contracts.
I think you
now.
took my comment out of context. I said, if you cannot provide service. I didn't say if you do. So if you can't provide service, then it becomes a breach, right? Just like with your customers, if you can't give them cell phone coverage, they can cancel and move, right?
Well, they're a government, they don't have an early termination fee. They can leave us at any time.
Okay,
At
so.
any time.
So
It's not a
you-
breach of contract.
You being, this is just my opinion, you being in sales here, and you're limited to what you can share, you've said that twice because of legal issues or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is not the city of Dearborn Heights. This is the Crestwood School District. As President Sabah said, we're representing the people. So to me, I don't understand how, I don't understand why we're here even discussing this. If there is an alternative, I'm missing the point. So per Dr. Masalam, what he stated, and trust me, from everything I've gathered and read, I was, even yesterday, I replied to Sabah and Masalam saying, okay, I understand it, but now I'm getting the full context. I just feel like the sales team's here trying to save the day. And I apologize for saying that, but that's how I feel.
Thank you, Trustee Baydun.
So-
Trustee Ina? I'm sorry, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I did. So the sales team's not here trying to save the day. Maybe I haven't painted a good enough picture, and I'm trying to be very conscious of everybody in this room. So basically, what happens is, not only do we lose coverage, we also lose capacity. Public safety will have capacity. They'll be able to get through. Consumers will not. Those are the people you are representing, and it is very important that they have capacity. And I'm sorry to say it like that, and I'm trying to be conscious
okay.
of everybody in the room, but the reality is that it is a safety issue. And so I am here, the second that I found out, I called the city because I have a relationship with them and I talk to them. If I worked with the district on a day-to-day basis, you would have been my first call.
But the city, sorry, Danielle, real quick. The city, you just mentioned the people that will lose capacity. It's not because of this body. It's because of the failure to respond on AT&T's end to do what they should have done from July or October of '22.
So
It has
I-
nothing to do.
Guys, let me
I
bring this.
am going to ask.
Can I just bring this back real quick? I'm sorry. Hold on, 1 second, I'm sorry. Trustee Bay doing some very good points. I want to remind everybody, I understand that you are here representing AT&T to get an extension, and I respect you for being here and to present the information that you're presenting. There are some frustrations, as you can tell, because of timeline lapses based on the information that you're giving and based on the information that we've lived, okay, since October 2022. You're walking in now, and we're telling you, wait a second, I've been on this board since 2020, and I've had citizens coming to me since then. Ms. Kaminsky, former trustee, a respected former trustee, has had people talking to her about that tower prior to that. So this is not a new topic for us. So what you sense, and I apologize, this is not you personally, right?
I hope
I-
not. I didn't do anything to you all.
Listen, I'm a sales manager myself, and I understand what you're doing, but all I'm saying is I want to make sure that we put this into context, guys. I understand the frustrations on both sides, and I understand what you're trying to say, but you have to understand that we've lived this timeline, which is why you're getting the passion that you're getting, and it's nothing directed towards you personally. I wanted to make sure you understood that.
Well, that is very sweet of you. I would actually like to know what email address was coming from @att.com that you were speaking with. I would actually like to
Can we
know
do that offline and not?
Yes, we
yeah, that's
absolutely
fine.
can.
Yeah. Trustee Elzayat.
So 2 tracks here. We have the public safety, you guys said you're saying you're pretty sure you guys will be able to take care of that, whatever. Is there no redundant plan or like emergency plan for, like if the tower goes out and your customers lose service? I might have missed that. What is the plan for that?
So
A cow also?
We have redundancy within our network, but when you have a capacity constraint, what happens in the event of public safety is that they will get priority and preemption. They can preempt consumers. And in a disaster situation, that is ideal for us. It is the most ideal thing, so they can communicate to save whatever situation's going on, right? But for consumers, redundancy, yes, there is redundancy. It doesn't mean that they're gonna get the most optimal experience. So you would be sitting there, so everybody, if you go home and you unplug the Ethernet cable from your internet router, right? You're still gonna get that Wi-Fi signal in your house, you're just not gonna be able to get on it, or if you loosen it. It's because you're not really connecting to anything. When you have capacity, you get in a line, so you're not really connecting, or it's taking you forever to connect. So it's gonna take a long time to go through. Now, it doesn't mean that it won't work at all. It just means it won't be ideal, and it won't work great. I can tell you that much.
Okay, so do you bring a cow out for that too?
We will put a cow out. So a cow would be something
For
that we would.
consumer?
For a relocation. So that is more of a robust device. But when you have.
Is that one free too?
Yeah. It's not a cost thing. It's not a cost thing. It's a customer experience thing and also a public safety thing because it's not the most ideal experience. We believe that we can work towards a tower on city property very, very quickly. And so yes, 18 months is the timeline that we're asking for. I do know that we are working very quickly. And as a sales manager, you should know what a big old baby sales fit can do. He does. So what we're asking for is just more time to make sure that this process goes along. And I am so sorry that you have had a very frustrating experience. I am. I truly am. I don't want to sit here and hear about us not coming through for you. I really don't, because that's not okay.
Well, no, that's not about not coming through for us, and the frustration isn't with you, it's the frustration is that they keep coming back.
Understood.
The frustration is that they keep coming back and saying, you didn't say this to us last time, and we're like, yes, we did, right? Yes, we did. We told you in October of 2022 that we're eliminating this. The other two companies were loud and clear. AT&T, for some reason, had their earmuffs on and didn't hear us, and that's why you're getting this like, wait a second, right? So I
Yeah.
think trustee Amon had a comment.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, here's my confusion. As we're sitting here, we're getting a sales pitch, but earlier we were basically told that administration was coming to talk. And somebody from the police department was coming to talk, and now we just got a letter. And you're sitting here trying to pitch to us about extending a lease that, like everybody's already said, we're representing the people who don't want this lease anymore. And we already voted on it, and I'm pretty sure that everybody's gonna stick to their guns and not change that vote. So, I mean, so what are we basically talking about? I mean, we're not gonna extend the lease. There's nobody here to discuss the whole 911 thing, and we're being told about consumers.
There's no vote right now at trustee Amon. I think all AT&T is just trying to give us information. And addressing the email that we did receive from Commissioner Vanderplow, he did reiterate some of the things that you've talked about with FirstNet and safety. We were really hoping that the mayor's office and the commissioner would be here to explain themselves. I don't know if anybody from the city that's here has any information one way or the other on that. We'll let them, hopefully they can come up when you're done and fill us in if they have anything. But, you know, I think you sense that it's just a timeline thing for us where we're scratching our heads. As trustee Elzayat was talking about, like, are you prepared? And if you're not prepared, was it really our fault that you weren't prepared? Because, you know, October 2022 till right now is 30 months, 31 months? That's a long time, right?
I can understand that, and I can understand the frustration.
No, I mean, you know, yeah.
I cannot speak for what transpired
Yeah.
before I found out on December 3rd, and I immediately called
I appreciate it.
any one of my customers that I could to say, hey, can we have a conversation about this? And we'll make sure, at least on my side, that it gets done, and it gets done as fast as humanly possible. That I can guarantee you.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Any other questions? for me?
Anybody else have
I
anything?
got one question.
Firing squad?
How wide of an area are we talking? How wide of an
3
area
miles.
is this? 3 miles?
3 mile radius.
So a mile radius? Okay.
Yeah, 3 miles any which direction from that tower. And I can show you what it actually looks like on a heat map, but it can only be with elected officials with no cameras or general population.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
The 3 mile radius for the consumer, that's only consumers with AT&T, right?
That is only consumers with AT&T. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Kristen, do we have public comment? Sue, did you want to step up? Thank you.
Thank you.
If you can stick around you may have some questions that are asked of you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Honorable Board. Sue Kaminsky, former trustee.
How do you spell that?
Anyways, I'd like to give you some historical information regarding this, and I'm going to start by apologizing to you. It will be nothing personal, but you have not been given the correct information. Having said that, in 2018, a group of citizens came to us with a petition with over 100 signatures. And they spoke very passionately and eloquently about the people on the street and the diseases they had. At that time, and we don't remember everything we do as a board member, but there are certain things that stick to you and affect you, and this is one of those. And they told us their stories. There was 8 people terminally ill at that time. 3 were children. We promised we would not renew that contract. We had discussions with the owner of the tower. We had discussions with AT&T. We begged. We had an attorney. We tried to get out of the contract. We were not able to get out of the contract, and so we had to tell these poor people and many more, and I've heard one that could not be here because he's passed away. We promised them that that contract would not be renewed.
And they were all on Kinloch.
And yes, they were.
Yep.
And every agency was notified. And there was no ifs, there was no ands. We wanted that tower out that day. We wanted out of the contract that day. And we were denied in every way, even with threat of legal litigation, because our contract was pretty unbreakable. And for you to come up here from your company telling you this, not you, to say that you need more time, I say absolutely not. And if I had a backhoe, I'd be back there right now. So I am pleading with this body to not grant any extensions. They don't deserve it. They don't warrant it. They haven't given this poor woman the proper information, I believe deliberately. And as far as the city goes, if the mayor can't be here and whatever job Paul Vanderbilt Plow has today can't be here, then I really don't care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minsky.
Rolla Mackey. Sorry, we're both new at this, so we're going to try to keep to what was supposed to be done.
Yeah, something he needs to do.
Yeah. This meeting of the board is held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. This is not the time for debate or argument. Do not mention any students or staff names. In order to permit a fair allotment of time to participants, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. The president may expend this time for up to 5 minutes per person when needed. Up to a half an hour is provided for public input. Direct all questions to the board president. All right, go ahead.
Good evening, members of the board, school board. My name is Rolla Mackey. Forgive me, I did write this before, so there are some facts that were said here today. 2 years ago, we had a serious discussion about the cell phone tower on school property. We discussed the risks, the health concerns, and the overwhelming objections from our community. You as elected officials made the decision to remove the tower, understanding that the concerns of families, students, and staff were valid, and you made a commitment to act in their best interest. So it's deeply frustrating to see that 2 years later, we're here having this conversation and someone's requesting an extension. What has changed? What new data or information have you received that justifies ignoring the concerns that were clearly expressed by our community? May I remind you that children's developing brains are more vulnerable to EMF exposure due to thinner skulls and more active brain development. According to scientific research, long-term exposure can affect cognitive function, behavior, and sleep patterns. I've also read some studies linking EMF exposure to conditions like ADHD, memory issues, and even cancer. These are really serious concerns. And I understand that there's a sales representative here from AT&T who is requesting an extension to keep the tower up, but with all due respect, the salesperson is not a health expert, and their opinion should not outweigh the concerns of our community, especially when it comes to the health and safety of our children. I hope the board denies this request, as our priority should always be the well-being of our community, our students, and our staff, not corporate interests.
This board has already made a commitment to remove the tower, and I hope we can finally move forward with that decision. It's time to put the health and safety of our citizens, our children above all else, and ensure that this issue is resolved once and for all. And I also, sitting here listening to the conversations about safety and 911 calls, I just Googled, do we need a cell phone tower to make 911 calls? And the answer is no. You don't need a cell phone tower. It's possible to make a successful call to 911, not having a network signal on your phone. Your phone will ping the next nearest cell phone tower up to 25 miles to make a 911 call. So maybe we need some more experts out here talking about, coverage and radius and all that stuff. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes. Marina Charara? Did I get it wrong? Oh, Myrna Charara.
Hi.
Hi, so
everyone.
before you get started, this
Well,
meeting,
I wasn't gonna speak tonight,
okay,
but for what I've been through since I moved to this house or to this neighbor, unexplained, going through, since the tower actually flipped to 5G, got worse, of, some unexplained issues, health issues. So I couldn't address the problem. My kids both are sick, and nothing genetic. We couldn't know why. I'm actually brain fog every day, very tired all the time. So as my neighbors that I speak with on mostly daily basis, telling me, we're fatigued, tired, they can't even do their daily chores, nothing at all. Unexplained. So I did read about this and I did do my research, and yes, that explains it all. I mean, I don't know what to say more than this, but they're benefiting, we're not, and we're just, this is all, it's a big, for our kids' sakes and for all the children that goes to Crestwood and spend 8 hours a day there, my kids that tell me, Mom, I can't concentrate, Mom, and there's nothing wrong with them, with their physicals and everything, they're fine, they're okay, but the brain fog that they have, even their friends that I spoke to, they say the same thing. We cannot concentrate, we're tired all the time, we can't get up in the morning. I'm not prepared to talk tonight. I just wanted to tell you just a few things that I'm going through and my neighbors that I speak with all the time and what my kids are going through. So I hope to God the tower will be gone soon. Hope to God.
Thank you, Ms. Schroeder.
Glenda Saad? Saad?
Good evening, the Board of Education. My name is Glenda Saad, and like Rola and like Myrna, I put this together in 5 minutes sitting back here. So I'm going to do my best, because it's been a little while since I've revisited 5G, because I'm very much against 5G, and in particular this one sitting, those two towers sitting at Crestwood. So the reason I'm here today in general is to address my concerns about those cell phone towers. My primary concern is the children that are in school all day long, and then even the ones attending extracurricular activities, and those homes around that school, immediately around that school, which is very concerning because they're being hit with that radiation 24 hours a day. There's growing concern about health risks when it comes to radiation, especially when it comes to growing and developing children. Some of these concerns include cancer, cognitive and developmental effects, immune system suppression, and many other long-term health effects. Not to forget that there are no long-term studies when it comes to 5G towers and when it comes to radiation, when it comes to our children or any of us. As you had mentioned as a rep of AT&T, there are other options than those towers. And as Rolla had mentioned, we do not need AT&T to be able to make a call to 911. So public safety in terms of using a cell phone to get 911 to your house is not dependent upon that tower. What I'm understanding from this meeting today is AT&T's primary concern is the people that use AT&T will have poor service, and in turn, they will probably leave AT&T and go to other companies like Verizon and T-Mobile. I don't even know if they're one company. So this is more of a financial issue when it comes to AT&T, and I think AT&T needs to take a step back and address the health concerns first, because that is my priority. A promise was made, and as I see from the board today, you do intend to keep your promise, and I really hope you stand true to that promise. Most of you, I'm assuming all of you, live in Dearborn Heights. Dearborn Heights is a very small city. We are all affected by those towers, but especially the people that live directly around Crestwood, and there's a lot of people over there. And, you know, it breaks my heart to hear some of these stories today, because I read and read and read, but to know my community is really suffering from these towers, it's really heartbreaking. So please, I ask of you to do what is right, to stay true to your word, and let's get rid of this tower. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dodd.
Nader Beydoun.
That's you, Doug.
Yeah.
We're one. I'm not gonna read
She
this.
set
'cause
you
I'm
up, didn't she? That's okay.
Anyways, good evening, members of the school board. I just want to, honestly, I'm feeling very emotional right now because I was that one person that came in 2018, so I'm not going to read this. Because when I saw Council Sue, it just brought back so much emotions because I was there. My neighbors were dropping like flies. I can bring you to my house. I back up to the cell phone tower. I live on Timber Trail. I'm between two schools. Kinlock house is like 500 students. Crestwood house is what, 1,200 students? 4 of my kids go to Crestwood School District. But just seeing Sue here and her bringing back the times when we first spoke about it, Donna was there, you guys cried. Like, they cried, and they were on board with us. And when we came back and they said, oh, we're going to look at this again in 2022, and I came back and I spoke to Mo and I spoke to all of you, and you guys really understood. You weren't for it in the beginning, but when I started telling you stories, you guys were really compassionate. I really respect it, and I really respect your time, like being here and just like your public service. But it just really breaks my heart that someone like you would come, and I understand like this is nothing personal, but you're just like in question, like, why is it a problem that this is on a school ground? It's a big problem when you lose your neighbors. I have vertigo. Like, I've been to so many doctors. I'm always dizzy, and I think it's because of that cell phone tower. Because when I'm away from it, I'm kind of okay, you know, but when I'm closer to my house, you can actually feel. So a few years ago when this started, I ordered, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but I kind of got into it and I started studying. I don't know as much as Glenda, but I ordered a device. It was $400. And I would see your employees, AT&T employees, come every month and change the blades on the tower. And I would tell my husband and my friends, I'm like, look at them. It's like living under a microwave. They're like, when you live under there and you see like the effects of your neighbors dying, you're like, you start believing this. So I got this device, I started walking towards it, and the numbers were extremely high. Let's say my house is what, 300 feet away from the tower? And the closer you get, the thing starts going off, it's beeping. You know, you guys are more than welcome to come over and we can do this together. But it's not safe. And I used to walk to your workers. I'd be like, when are you guys gonna take this down? Why are you guys changing these blades? And you know what they used to tell me? Call AT&T. Nobody ever had an answer for us. So I really, I'm like begging you guys not to extend, not to just, I don't know who's pushing you guys to do this. Like, are they getting more money? Is it worth it? There has to be other solutions. There's 3 other towers behind the fire station that they can tap into. I'm sorry I'm nervous, but just everything's coming back up right now.
Are you sorry?
Yep. Or I'm gonna end up moving away, or maybe change to Verizon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beydoun. Just so that we are clear, do we have any more, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. We were asked for this by the mayor's office and AT&T, which is why we're having a discussion, just to answer that.
Dunia Baydun?
That is Danielle.
Dunia?
She put Dr. Nader's name down. And
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, they're doing.
Councilman Baydun, I saw you, did you put it in?
Come on up, Doc.
I know we, as my wife said, that we talked about this, about the concern and the health and everything, and the board decided and voted that not to extend the lease, which is a very good step. Now we're talking about as we heard from the rep, it's a technical problem of theirs, because other companies, it seems like they moved their equipment and AT&T did not. That falls on AT&T that they did not do their job in a timely manner, which is, I don't think the board should give them an extension of 18 months or any extension, because already they had their time to do what they have to do and they didn't do it. So thank you for not extending the lease.
Thank you, Dr. Baydun.
Mr. Chair?
Trustee Ozat?
I just wanted to, I know you're probably gonna go back and talk to whoever you're gonna talk to, and, I don't know what will happen, when the tower goes down. I'm sure you guys will work that out. But maybe you could just relay to the powers that be, because while I'm listening to everybody's stories, and all I'm hearing from AT&T is that we need more time. And I think it's ironic that AT&T is asking for time. I mean, I'm sure the families lost would have wanted more time. I'm sure the people that got sick would have wanted more time. Time is valuable to everybody. So I do find it ironic that AT&T just keeps on saying, we need more time. Time is precious to everybody. And we wish that you guys would have taken advantage of the time that you have. And now when I say you guys, I mean, not you specifically. And I know, everybody's been telling you the same thing. We know it's not you, but sorry, you work for them, so you have to hear the brunt of it, and they sent you here. But, I hope that you relay these things to whoever it is that you'll be reporting back to, that it's not just because, we don't want to renew it. It's, we had enough time.
I got something after.
So, I'm just saying, I know you're gonna go back and report to whoever you have to report to. I just hope that you go back and relay these messages to them too, because they sent you here, they're not here, they would have heard it themselves. And I do agree that if they would have cared, they would have been here.
Thank you, Trustee Ozat. Trustee Baydun?
First of all, thank you for coming and explaining the back history on the AT&T side. Really appreciate it. I just want everybody to know who's here. This vote was already done and completed, and we did vote to decommission it on January 31st, 2025, Dr. Masalam? That's a done deal. The only way that could change is if you have a trustee sitting here, make a motion, another trustee to support it, and then get the majority vote of 4. That's the only way it could change. So as of right now, it's a done deal, unless those steps happen. I personally don't see it happening. I can't speak on the other 6 members here, but from what it looks like, I don't think there's anything to worry about. And I can assure you, I won't be the one making that motion.
Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add? You want to step up to the microphone?
Yeah, I do, actually. I know that we're talking about.
Nobody can, if you can come to the microphone and speak,
Oh, I
because,
bet you they could hear me.
no, this is live, bro.
I am gonna turn around, because I hear you. And I understand what you're saying, and I'm listening. And yes, I got blindsided and walked into this, so yay for me. That's awesome. And I really hope that you're not recording this and putting it on Facebook, because I am a private person, so please.
The meeting's
But-
public.
The
The
meeting
meeting is a
pub-
public meeting.
It's
I know,
on
but-
YouTube.
I know, but not like making memes.
Got it. Sure, no, yeah,
I don't
absolutely
do-
not,
No memes, please, just
No.
that's all I'm asking. But, so, I hear what you're saying, I do, I 100% do. And I will say, for correction, it's not about calling 911, so I want to make that really, really clear. It's about getting the information of where you are out to the law enforcement and fire. That's what they're talking about the impact for 911. It's about getting the information to the field officers, the one who's coming to your house to help, the one who's coming to your school to help. That's what they're talking about when they say it's a 911 impact. So I do want to clarify that, because you are correct. You could be standing in the middle of a forest and call 911 from your cell phone, and it will do its darndest to at least pick up your ping. That's what it's designed to do. But it's about getting the correct information about where you are to help you out to that law enforcement officer. And yes, we have backup plans, we do. And I'm here as the representative for Dearborn Heights School District as well as for Dearborn Heights. And so, but it's also about providing the optimal experience for those who are picking up the call in the event of a disaster. And so that's what we're asking for more time for. We understand that you want it gone. We are not questioning that. And by sales getting involved, I know I'm a salesperson, and I know that I'm this, probably seem like I'm giving you guys a sales pitch. I don't get paid like that. I get paid to stand here and talk to my customers. I work in public sector. So what I'm saying is that when you do get sales involved, we understand the people because we deal with the people all the time. We're here all the time. I can't hide from you. I live here. I make a joke. I've been the account manager for Wayne County for the last 8 years. I have 0 secrets from Wayne County. I don't have any secrets with that customer at all, and they don't have any secrets with me because I'm here all the time. And we will be here, but yes, we do need a little bit more time to move that, but I assure you, we will absolutely make sure it's done. And I don't care what anybody said in the past, because I can't hide from you because I'm here. I'm a resident in this area. It took me, well, I actually came from downtown, but it would have taken me about 5 minutes to get here tonight. So I hear you, and I'm listening, and I'm promising you that we understand your concerns, but we want to give public safety the most ideal experience. And the customers, consumers alike, but public safety, because they're the ones answering the call. And it's not about calling in, it's about getting the information to that person who needs to come to you.
Thank you. I will end it with this. Oh, we have 2 more. Yes, please, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Mo Beydoun.
That is Councilman Moby Dune.
Thank you, Mo is fine. Good evening. Congratulations on the new appointment. The honorable trustees, congratulations to you all. Congratulations on the new Board of Education. I haven't actually been able to come here and speak before you guys on this podium. I know that I was awarded here, but really today, I think the applause goes out to everybody that showed up today and to their families. The reality is, people like Sue Kaminsky are not going to forget. Even if it happened in 2018, we're in 2025 and we're still talking about the same issues. This community doesn't forget. I can see that the representative is being extremely respectful. She's somebody that says like, hey, we just want to figure out a time frame. The reality is the time frame was talked about in 2018, and this isn't me taking a shot at you. This is just saying in 2018, a completely different trustee boards all sat up here and said, this is the final straw. 2025, the final straw has come. What's it going to take to make it work? I don't know, but I think somebody already hit it. I think Councilman Saab's going to speak about it. There are 5G towers right at the fire station. Tap into them. Figure it out. Get it away from the Beydoun's home. I don't think anybody should have it in front of their home. I was just telling Councilman Ahmad, who had to leave, if I had a 5G tower in front of my house, I am moving my family. I am picking up my family and we're leaving. I don't care where. I mean, we're going to stay in Dearborn Heights, granted, but we're not gonna live in that house. And so whatever the situation may be, is just like somebody can pick up and move, that tower can be picked up and moved. So I think whatever needs to happen, you guys have already made your decision. Get it gone, get it out. Thank you guys. Thank you to the residents. Have an amazing night.
Thank you, Council Chair.
Councilman Saab.
Good evening. Honorable body. So I have a few questions for the young lady. So you know your phone usually when it's on a tower and the tower drops, it picks up another tower right away, even if it's not AT&T. Then it goes down to the smaller cell towers, the radio towers that they're putting up throughout the city. But also your phone for emergency service picks up satellite signal to connect you to the nearest tower that it can ping. But also, since you're here, I would love AT&T to contact us. AT&T has not paid the city in over 15 years for the towers being on city property. You say you work for what's the company? Crown Castle, I believe, or? Yeah. No, I know, but they lease from
Crown
Crown Castle.
Castle's a separate
No.
company, yeah, that's not
But the
AT&T.
towers you folks lease from have not paid the city in almost 15 years. And they don't communicate back with the city. So by them I know that Verizon moved their tower behind the fire station. And I believe T-Mobile moved their tower behind the fire station. What's taking AT&T so long to move theirs? Don't you guys rent towers? But their contract's up. Right. But you were notified well over 28 months ago.
Councilman Saab, let's just keep
No, I know,
it-
what I'm trying to figure out,
yeah.
President, is that they're saying they want another 18 months. But multiple major national companies that
Have moved.
have moved.
Yeah.
But now they're just saying they're starting the process now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, I
And
want to keep it to commentary, because if it's back and forth with the
No,
representative.
because these were the questions that you guys actually asked.
100% agree with you. I'm not
that
disagreeing
nobody
with you,
responded
absolutely.
to them.
Yeah.
But I think it's ridiculous you guys need another 18 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Sable?
Trustee Fawaz.
I just want to thank all the residents for coming today. I was here in 2018, and I did hear all of your statements back then. And from that day forward, Sue's right, we as a board were determined to try to break that contract even then. Unfortunately, we had to wait until now. And honestly, even with this timeline, I think AT&T literally just dropped the ball. Didn't look for, they should have took advantage of the time frame they already had and didn't. And, I mean, personally, again, I think AT&T is at fault here. And, that's it.
Thank you, Trustee Fawaz. We are running over. I do want to thank the representative of AT&T for coming out today. I want to thank the citizens for coming out today. You're both heard loud and clear. Again, this was a request from the mayor's office and from AT&T this evening. And the mayor and Commissioner Vanderplow were not able to attend. And as I said, we did receive a letter from them stating what the representative from AT&T reiterated. We also heard from Councilman Saab on some of the issues the city's also having with AT&T towers. At the end of the day, we are here to make sure we are doing what's best, first and foremost, for our students, for the communities that we serve, and that does include industries that serve those communities, but the communities speak really loud. And I will not say that this will or will not be extended, because I will tell you that is up to 7 people here to vote later on. We'll leave it for that time. I do want to thank everybody, but I will tell you, it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle. I wish you well. Thank you all. We are going to adjourn.
President Sabo?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
We do have a motion to adjourn from Trustee Baidoon, seconded by Trustee Amen at 6:34 p.m. We will resume in 5 minutes. Thank you.
You need a vote.
I'm sorry, we do need a vote. All in favor? All in
Aye.
favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Trustee Baidoon.